Hello my friends, in today's video we will take a look at Fujifilm X-F56mm F1.2 RWR. This is one of the latest Fuji primes designed specifically to work with a 40MP X-H2 sensor and the latest Fuji cameras. Previous 56mm has been one of the most popular X-mount lenses, but there was some room for improvement. As you may have noticed, the new one still misses letters LM in the name. In this video we will take a look at the performance of this lens in combination with Fujifilm X-H2 and X-T5, and I will try to help you decide whether you should get one. 56mm F1.2 translates to 85mm F1.8 full-frame equivalent. It is a short telephoto lens that allows you to put a lot of emphasis on your subject. 85mm is probably the most typical focal length for portraits. I am not much of a portrait photographer, so I mostly use it for achieving different perspective in different genres of photography and video. F1.2 aperture is also highly suitable for blurring the background in combination with that focal length. 56mm RWR is 7.6 cm long and it weighs 445 grams. That is very compact and pretty light for this type of lens. It is a great match for both X-H2 and X-T5. It is not too front heavy on the X-T5, so it is very comfortable to use even with that small grip. It works even better with X-H2 or X-H2S. This combination is very well balanced. Just keep in mind that it will protrude below the base plate of the camera a lot. As usual, the build quality is excellent like with other recent Fuji lenses. The whole construction is metal, including both rings and filter thread. It is definitely a very well made premium feeling lens. It is weather sealed, so there is a rubber gasket around the mount, which is metal as expected. A lens hood is included in the box, but once again I forgot to ask for it, so I can't show it to you. 56mm RWR uses a standard 67mm filter thread. This is a very popular diameter, so chances are that you already have some 67mm filters. I have tested it with various freewheel filters, including variable ND filter, and it worked with no issues. Regarding the control elements, there is the aperture ring and focusing ring. The aperture ring has clicks and it is relatively easy to move. It is my preferred way of controlling the aperture, but if you prefer controls in camera, you can set it to a position. There is also a lock that you need to press to engage or disengage it. The focusing ring is large enough and it has very even resistance, but smooth focus pull with this lens are impossible. That is the consequence of those missing letters in the name of this lens. It uses an old type of focus molder which is fast and accurate, but also loud and very jerky. I will talk more about that later on. So how about the optical qualities? I have tested this lens with a 40MP X-Trans5 HR sensor in Fujifilm X-H2. The sensor is extremely demanding when it comes to the optical quality of the lenses, so let's see whether the 56mm RWR can render this kind of resolution. The image quality in the center of the frame is perfect right from f2.8 in all regards. Resolution is perfect, so is the contrast, and there is no chromatic aberration whatsoever. There is not much to talk about here. The image quality is the same from f1.2 to f5.6. There seems to be a tiny bit of diffraction at f8, but it is hardly visible. There is definitely some diffraction at f11, but it is still more than usable. The image quality in the corners is also excellent right from f1.2. The resolution itself is great, but there is a bit of noise caused by profile corrections. The contrast is very good though, there is no chromatic aberration and the overall image quality is outstanding. A lot of the noise is gone by f1.4 and we can see perfect image quality at f2. Much like in the center of the frame, the image quality stays perfect up to f5.6. There is a hint of diffraction at f8, but that one is also perfectly usable. More diffraction is visible at f11. Overall, the image quality is excellent. It joins the other two Fuji non-primes released in 2022 in this regard, so it is not that big of a surprise. This is definitely another lens that is more than good enough for a 40MP APS-C sensor. As expected, real-world images look just as well. Fujifilm's processing nicely complements the lens and the sensor. Overall, I am more than happy with the image quality. Regarding the profile correction requirements, there is no visible distortion. On the other hand, we can see a fair amount of vignetting at f1.2. It gradually decreases until f2, where it is pretty much gone. It doesn't really affect the corner image quality that much, so I don't think that it is a big deal. The minimum focus distance is 50 cm, which translates to 0.14 times magnification. That is about average for this type of lens. The image quality at minimum focus distance is very solid though. There is a bit of chromatic aberration, but I have seen much worse. The bokeh is a major strength of this lens. It offers a lot of subject separation at f1.2 and the rendering of the bokeh is very nice. It has 11 aperture blades, which certainly contributes to that. It works very well with outlines and textures. It can smooth out transitions even in situations with a busy background. Overall, big thumbs up for the bokeh. Regarding the autofocus, let's start with the good bits. It is pretty fast and accurate in the stills mode. And that is where the positives end, I'm afraid. As the name suggests, it doesn't use a linear motor. This focusing motor is very jerky, loud, and there is a lot of hunting in more difficult situations. The video autofocus, well, it will focus accurately, but the smoothness is very poor and there is always some hunting. It will focus in easier situations, but it is unusable in more difficult situations. Yeah, it is unfortunate, the focusing motor lets the rest of the lens down, and to be honest, I don't understand the decision to use this type of motor in a 2022 lens. The amount of focus breathing is quite low for this type of lens. There is some amount of course, but a lot less than with average 85mm equivalent lenses. 56mm f1.2 is not stabilized. Fortunately, the performance of the in-body image stabilization at longer focal lengths is one of the highlights of latest Fuji cameras such as the X-H2. Getting sharp images at about 1/30th or even 1/20th of a second is not an issue at all. It is good enough for static shots and for pointing the camera around, which is all that I can ask for at this focal length. To sum up, Fujifilm X-F 56mm f1.2 RWR is an excellent lens in all aspects except the focusing motor. Optical qualities are pretty much on par with the other two primes, specifically designed for a 40 megapixel sensor. That means that it is one of the best APS-C lenses in terms of the image quality. The bokeh and solid close-up image quality are also strengths of the 56mm RWR. The build quality is excellent as usual, and so are the controls. Also worth mentioning is pretty low amount of focus breathing. The only negative of this lens is the autofocus motor. If you can live with that, you will be compensated by an excellent output. So that's it for this video, thank you for watching, I hope that you liked this video and that you have found it to be useful. Stay tuned for more videos and maybe consider subscribing if you don't want to miss my future content. I appreciate your feedback in form of thumbs up or thumbs down. If you would like to ask anything or share your opinion, please do so in the comment section, and see you next time.